I cannot believe that I have to do this. I have to do this. So this week, ChatGPT came out with its latest generation of AI. And yeah, it's just as fucking stupid as ever. So this is actually a public service announcement. This is for all you people out there who seem to want to get out of going to the doctor at any expense. Do not, I said it 4 times. Do not solicit medical advice from artificial intelligence. Okay? AI is dumb AF. All right? You follow me? People are going to these artificial intelligence websites and asking legitimate medical questions and getting horrible advice. The only people that you should be taking medical advice from are educated and licensed professionals in the healthcare industry. Okay? Do not trust ChatGPT to treat your fucking diabetes. Don't do it. Okay? All right. That said, let's talk about something else that you know who doesn't want to talk about. This ought to be fun. Welcome back to Trent Takes On 2.0. I'm the Trent from the title of the show, and I did that in a real sing-songy voice. I'm sorry about that. Anyway, I named the show. It's my show. It's my takes on different things. Okay. Yesterday, the world got away from me. Friday got away from me. I got busy doing stuff and totally forgot that it was Friday, which is bad. And I just get caught up in doing like projects and little stuff and things like that. And this is all part of my ongoing attempt to keep my mind during a time of great upheaval. Like it says in my Blue Sky bio, I am proudly anti-fascist. I don't like fascism. I don't like these Nazis taking over my country. I don't like the demagoguery. I don't like the thought that the world that I'm leaving for my kids is poisoned like this. And it's all misinformation, disinformation, and then the old school tropes of racism, misogyny, and bigotry. All of these things are counterproductive to an elevated version of our society. Okay? If you consider yourself an enlightened human being in any way, shape, or form, then you should be against racism. Stupid. Humans are humans. Okay? It doesn't matter what color your fucking skin is or where you were born. Misogyny. If you look down on women for any reason, aside from the fact that you just happen to be taller than they are and you physically look down and there they are, that's stupid. Just fucking understand that a woman, if you're a man, a woman is just the other like major version of humans. And there are other versions of humans too. We're all just people, goddammit. Why is this so hard to understand? And then the bigotry is just, fuck. What difference does it make how other people want to live their lives if they're not messing up yours? You know what I'm saying? I had no problem with most people because most people don't want to fuck up everybody else's lives. But then there are people who just insist on putting their senses, their values, their sense of understanding onto others, like breaking them by using their own, whatever their ideals may be. And my ideals are equality and fucking justice and opportunity for everybody. Everybody should be playing on the same field here. We should be playing the same sport. We should all be agreed that, we should be equals in this. There shouldn't be multiple tiers of a justice system. There shouldn't be multiple tiers in society. We don't have a caste system here. Anyway, if you're an enlightened individual, you understand that society is supposed to be for everybody. And we should be judged as a society by how we treat our most vulnerable. This is actually an old Jesus thing. You know, you're going to be judged by how you treat those who have the least. The poor, the sick, the infirm. We are doing a piss poor job as a society of that. Full stop. We really are. And it makes me cringe, makes me upset. And that they use, that the propagandists on the right use this victimization of certain people to propagandize things. Yet they don't see the hypocrisy in it. They don't see the truth behind the lies. There was this crazy conspiracy theory generated by this person referring to themselves as Q, who claimed to be an inside deep state actor who had all this intelligence. Anyway, the claim is that there was a child sex trafficking ring run by elitists out of the basement of a pizza parlor in Washington, D.C., which was insane because the pizza parlor has no basement. Didn't stop some kook from believing this nonsense and barging in there with a long gun, a Colt AR-15 or whatever variant it was, and demanding to see the basement. Yeah. There's no basement, dude. It's like Pee Wee Herman looking for the basement at the Alamo. There is no basement at the Alamo. Shout out Pee Wee Herman. Shout out Paul Rubens. QAnon became a thing. It was a big thing, and a bunch of conspiracy theorists came out of the woodwork to share their conspiracies with each other, with the world. The internet has really made conspiracy theories like it is the new hot thing. If you really want to get into conspiracy theories, the internet has got you fucking covered. So, anyway, QAnon, elite pedophilia ring, then the Jeffrey Epstein stuff comes to light and becomes a big... Jeffrey Epstein actually ran a child sex trafficking ring. He used this woman named Ghislaine Maxwell, who was his partner, girlfriend, and quote unquote business partner in this illicit illegal practice. And she's in prison. Well, supposed to be. Now she's in Club Fed. But she was sentenced to 20 years for her part in his misgivings. And Epstein himself died in a mysteriously by suicide in a New York federal jail while awaiting federal crimes. It may have been, it wasn't federal, it was state. It was New York State, I think it was hitting him. Anyway, there's this theory that he was protecting all of these elites. And if you think about this for 2.5 seconds, he wasn't alone. There were apparently many other people who participated in his business in his illicit, illegal business with him. He made billions of dollars, and no one knows how or why. There's so many unanswered questions, and one of the things that these conspiracy theorists believe is that there's a list of clients. These are people who practice pedophilia, who were having sex with underage girls. I don't know of any boys that were attached to this, but it's entirely possible. And Epstein was like the ringleader, and Maxwell was his number 2. So Epstein's dead. The federal government has files, all these files on all of the charges that they were going to bring against him, and they never released them. That was 2019. That was under Bill Barr's watch as Department of Justice head, the Attorney General, the head of the Department of Justice. That was his call back then. And it never saw the light of day. It didn't come out during the Biden administration either, though Biden never promised to do anything about it. And Biden was completely hands off. And the person that he chose to run the Attorney General's office, the Department of Justice, was a former judge named Merrick Garland, who was actually appointed to the Supreme Court, but never got a hearing because, Mitch McConnell. And Merrick Garland was so 100% by the book that they did not release this stuff. And they never even considered it. Because there was they would have had to start proceedings against other people who they knew were victims, or not victims, but who were perpetrators. And that meant re-traumatizing victims. But you also lost your primary witness in Epstein. So, anyway, they didn't release it. But Donald Trump ran on releasing the Epstein files. It was part of his promise to expose the secrets of the deep state. And the conspiracy theorists ate this shit up, and they fucking want those files. They want to see which elites are on the Epstein files, which elites are pedophiles. That's the whole MAGA base, right? It's an anti-elite base, which is wild because the head of MAGA is Donald Trump, who pisses in a gold toilet and flies around with jets with his name on them. This dude doesn't know anything about being a regular human being. He is the definition of elite. He was born elite. He got to dodge the draft for Vietnam because he was elite. He went to Wharton School of Business, even though he's a fucking idiot, because he was elite. He actually had his former attorney, Michael Cohen, threaten Wharton and his private high school and every school that he ever attended with lawsuits should they ever release his transcripts. Why? Because it would prove that he's a fucking idiot. But he is definitely an elite. Now, he's in charge. He's appointed a new Attorney General, Pam Bondi, who promised that she was going to release the Epstein files. She made a big hoi polloi about it and invited all these right-wing influencers to the White House and gave them binders with the Epstein files inside. What she gave them was all the publicly known stuff. But she did put volume 1 on that binder, meaning there's more volumes to come. Also in this administration are former podcasters Kash Patel and Dan Bongino. They are the head of the FBI and the deputy head of the FBI. Those are the two people in charge of the Federal Bureau of Investigations. And both of those guys have been saying for years that when they get power and when they have access to those files, they are going to release them and they are going to show the world how twisted these elites are. Now they're in a position where they can do that. But have they done it? No. A few weeks ago, almost a month ago now, they came out and they said, there's nothing to see here. There are no files. There is no evidence that there was a sex trafficking, which is pretty wild because people went to prison for that. And they said there was no further disclosure necessary. That's Patel, that's Bongino, that's Pam Bondi. That's the Trump regime. The people who said that they were going to expose this now say there's nothing to expose. And they won't even give you what they do have. Because, according to reports, they grabbed 1,000 FBI agents to scrub Donald Trump's name out of it. We're talking tens of thousands of documents, phone records, phone call logs, written correspondence, you name it. Donald Trump is all over these things because it turns out he was really good friends with Jeffrey Epstein for like 15 years. Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein used Mar-a-Lago, Trump's own resort, to recruit young girls, masseuses, for private massages. Where they were trained to become sex slaves. It's terrible stuff. All of this is awful fucking stuff. That part is not a conspiracy. That really happened. The sex ring, the sex trafficking, that really happened. There are dozens of victims. So why won't the federal government give the information that they have? Why did they meet with Ghislaine Maxwell, Epstein's number 2, for 9 hours over 2 days in a Miami federal prison, and then a week later transfer her to a minimum security Club Fed in Texas? She got a deal to say, I never saw Donald Trump do anything wrong. Well, this is a woman who also was guilty of perjury in her own trial. Her fucking word can't be trusted. Are you kidding me? And they're not going to release the transcripts of that, the 9 hours of meeting either. This was all coming to a head. There are so many MAGA people. There are so many conspiracy theorists that want to hear about the Epstein files. They want the release of the Epstein files, that the House of Representatives had to adjourn 2 weeks early for their August recess because they were going to force a vote to compel the president and the Department of Justice to release those files. And they didn't want to take that vote, so they skipped out of town. They didn't want to take that vote because that vote would have passed. And if that vote had passed, well, then guess what? They wouldn't have released the files, to be let's be honest. They could release them now. They're not doing it. Why? Because they don't want to. So even if you pass a vote, pass a resolution saying you have to do this, they're going to look you dead in the eyes and go, no, they're not going to release these. They are not going to release these. They are not going to release these. And so, like any good conspiracy, everything you thought you knew gets to be true. This is Schrodinger's conspiracy. If you're not allowed to see the evidence and you're a real conspiracy theorist, then you have to assume that the evidence proves what you think. And according to Schrodinger's theory, it also disproves what you think. But it proves what you think. You can't get rid of the conspiracy. By ignoring it, it just looks like you're covering it up. And that's what it looks like the regime is doing. Because it's exactly what they're doing. It's a cover-up. It's absolutely a cover-up because they won't give you anything. And we're 4 weeks into them refusing to give up anything. And that tells you something. That tells you that whatever is in there is more damaging to the president and the people around him than the conspiracy of the cover-up to hide it from everybody. It is less politically painful for him to hide this information than what's in the information itself. That's just common sense, right? That's what that's what I wanted to talk about here. When you look at the Epstein files and when you think, well, what could possibly be in there? All you have to realize is that whatever it is more damaging to Donald John Trump, the Mad King, than the conspiracy behind covering it up. That's all you need to know. He has done hundreds if not thousands, of impeachable things in the first 7 months of his regime. Look just the other day at Tim Cook, the CEO of Apple. When Trump put 50% tariffs on anything coming from India, which would include Apple's products like the iPhone, Tim Cook came in and gave him a gold, 24 karat gold based crystal trophy, a keepsake, an award for being the great president that he is, according to Tim Cook and Apple. For everything you're doing for the country, here's a gift. Here's an award. And what did that get him? What did that get Tim Cook and Apple? That got them exempted from those tariffs. So he gives Donald Trump a crystal and gold statue. And Donald Trump, in return, alleviates their taxes. That, kids, is called a bribe. That is a bribe. A bribe. Just like a $400 million Qatari jet. Just like buying Trump's meme coin or cryptocurrency. It's all bribes. And what are we doing about any of that? That Tim Cook thing happened on camera, live television. A bribe accepted in real time. Can't deny that. That's what it was. That's what it is. An impeachable offense on camera. Put it on the list. And I only bring that part up. Well, no, I bring it up for two reasons. Number one, everybody should realize that. And number two, again, they believe they are so far above reproach that they can break the law, defy the Constitution in open, right there in the Oval Office with cameras on them. They can accept bribes. They can do whatever they want, whatever power grab they want. But the one thing that they refuse to do is to release the Epstein files. Wow. You'd think that they wouldn't be scared of what's in the Epstein files because they're not scared of anything. They're not scared of anyone holding them to account anywhere. Congress, completely spineless jellyfish of a Congress. All of these Republicans just go along with whatever the fuck he tells them to do because they've got no courage at all to stand up to Donald Trump. The courts have been threatened and cajoled and ignored to the point where they are essentially irrelevant. And it starts at the top with the Supreme Court, who has greenlit all of this with their ridiculous shithead immunity decision that put a president above the law. But not any president, mind you, just the Mad King, because they're trying to indict former President Barack Obama, who, I'm sorry, I thought he had immunity. But I guess that only goes for the Mad King. So what are they afraid of? Why won't they release those files? Makes you wonder, doesn't it? You know it's bad. Now you get to think about how bad it could be. How bad is it? They have video. They have photos that they refuse to allow out into the public because they're child pornography. Okay, fair enough. Why not digitize and blur out the children and show us the adults that are in those photos and videos with them? I just ask because I'm curious. Is that even possible? Who else is in this file, these files? Who else is there? What other names are there? And I'm one of those people, like I've said on this podcast before, if it's Bill Clinton, then he needs to pay the price for whatever he's done wrong. If it's Prince Andrew, if it's still Bill Gates, they claim Bill Gates is in there. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care what your political affiliation is. If you break the law, you should be held to account. That's equality in the name of justice. And justice is supposed to be blind. It's not, but it's supposed to be. Donald Trump has proven time and time again that he believes he is above the law. And apparently, all of the people who could hold him to account believe the same fucking thing. And man, that's rough. It is rough to have a dictator in the Oval Office who believes that he's above the law, and no matter what he does, he will never be held to account. And he honestly believes that. Except for one thing. So my call is the same call that I'm hearing from a lot of different corners of the world, including the MAGA base itself. Release those files. Show us what we don't know. Protect the victims by masking their identities, but the perpetrators don't deserve that same masking. They broke the law. And yeah, that would keep us from actually holding anybody to account, because basically you're tainting the jury pool, you're just tainting the evidence by producing it before the actual what do you call that thing? Trial itself? Yeah. Before you even have the trial, you would be poisoning the evidence. You'd be tainting it. But in the interest of public disclosure, right? You promised you were going to do it, right? You promised you were going to do it. You promised you were going to tell us which elites were in the files. And by not producing those files, you are telling us who's in those files. It's the Mad King himself, and probably a whole bunch of people that he's attached to. Interesting. Food for thought. So that's going to do it for me this weekend, this fine Saturday morning. I'm squeezing this in right before lunch, but I'm going to drop it right away. I do apologize for not getting the pod out yesterday. Like I said, time gets away from us from time to time. I'm doing a lot of things for my own mental health. And we should all be focused on that right now. Even though what we want to do is resist constantly every day. Geez, I wish I could get my law degree like in a couple days. If I could procure a law degree in the next 6 months, I'd do it. Anything to get it to become a part of the holding these people to account. Anything to become a part of these ICE guys with their masks on, breaking the law left, right, and center, need to be held to account every time they jump out of a Penske van and attack a bunch of just regular old people on the streets for no reason other than the fact that they've got brown skin. That's illegal, my friends. And the cops should be holding them to account. That's called kidnapping. You have to have probable cause or a warrant. And the color of somebody's skin is not probable cause. It's called profiling, and it's illegal. Anyway, that's going to do it for, like I said, that's going to do it for me. Thank you for listening to Trent Takes On 2.0. Do me a favor and share this with a friend. This episode is a little bit weird, sure, but you know what? There's something in every episode for us to chew on and think about, because it makes us better when we think, because critical thinking is the thing that they really, really, really hate. In this fascist regime, they hate it when you critically think. When you think about things from multiple angles, and when you realize just how flimsy this regime's strength really is, that gives you courage, and that's what they hate. So thank you for gaining some courage with me. Reach out to me anytime. I am on Blue Sky at Old Man Trent. That's my handle. Yeah. Easy to find. So I will talk to you very soon. Again, thank you so very much for being a part of the journey. And until next time, be good humans. It's the least we can do for each other. Love you. Ciao.